Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for your time this evening as we are, again, navigating new waters into the education world. So I hope that this is an informational opportunity and a question and answering session for you. I do want to preface this. We're hitting a moving target. It's a moving target, and every day things change. I will keep you as informed as I possibly can as those changes come. But according to what I have now, with my communication with the Henry County Health Department, this is the plan that they have approved for us to work with. But before we begin, I'm going to ask Pastor Marcis to lead us in a little bit of an opening prayer.
And before we have a prayer, I just want to share with you that what is being done today is after hours and hours and hours of work. Julie is on one Zoom meeting, one phone call, just one thing after the next, and then we have meetings inside the staff so that we're on the same game page between school and church and all that stuff. And like I say, it changes twice in an afternoon, and so doing the best we can with that. We are blessed to have Julie here with all the work that she does, the leadership that she provides, and we're in some really crazy times. That's an understatement of the year, but yet we're going to navigate through this, make this as safe for your kids as we possibly can, because we treasure the kids, and we are truly honored by the trust that you give. And this is awesome with all you guys here today, because I don't know if we really anticipated that as many of you are going to be here. That's great, and we are fired up. We are excited about the year to come. It's going to be different. Going to be. Yes, and those online as well.
So I'm just going to stop for just a second and interject. This is how our meetings go, by the way.
True story.
If you have been here, if you would fast direct your homeroom teacher that you attended the orientation, that way we can track it for the health department, that would be great. And you who are online, if you would send, again, a fast direct to the homeroom teacher of your student that you watched it online, that helps us to track so that the Henry County Health Department is aware of how many of our parents receive the information live or in person.
Yep. So,
Sorry.
And that is how meetings go, so these tangents just come and go. And then right after we get done with the meeting, then I go in your office and say, okay, what about this? And so we are working hard on your behalf and for your kids. So with that, a lot of information is going to be going out today, but let's do that which is most important, why you send your kids here to the school, and that is because we get to go to God in prayer. So let's bow our heads in prayer. Dear Lord Jesus, these times, they are indeed a change, and they're crazy times with so much uncertainty, so many questions, so many changes that are taking place, it seems like each and every day. But what gives us hope, what gives us confidence, what helps us get out of bed every single day is that there is no uncertainty, no doubt about your great love and the power of the grace that you shower upon us. Lord, we thank you for Julie and all the work that she has done. We thank you for all of our teachers, especially our new ones, Ben and Rebecca, for joining us and our ministry here. We also thank you for the parents who entrust us with their most precious commodity, their children. Bless us all together as we strive to proclaim the hope that is found in you, and again, work to help these children receive material that will bless them and help them not only for the oncoming future, but also throughout eternity as well. So bless us here tonight in our meeting. In your name we pray. Amen.
All right. Well, before I begin the presentation, I just want to introduce to you a few folks. I work with a wonderful set of parents and congregation members on my school board. I say mine, I say that a lot. Our school board. They were a part also of this reopening plan. Again, it had to go to the Henry County Health Department. They did a little tweaking of it, and this is what we're presenting to you this evening. So our chairman of our Board of Education is Mr. Brad Mushel. And we have, behind him, we have Drew Snopley, Mr. Ty Schlosser, Mr. Jeffrey Ressler, Mrs. Stacy Gherkin, and Mrs. Audrey Morris. And absent is Mrs. Rhonda Huddle, which many of your students know because she substitutes on a regular basis in our building. So here we go. We're going to reopen. We're going to reopen for 5 days a week for K-8, and preschool, your regular Monday, Wednesday, Friday if you're in P4, Tuesday, Thursday for your 3-year-olds, and TK in the afternoons, Monday through Friday. So with that being said, if you are a preschool parent, raise your hand. Okay, so here's some new information for you. The staggered start that we sent out to you is not going to be put into place. So on Wednesday, August the 26th, P4 students, you're going to come to school. We're going to postpone the assessments because we want to get into a routine. Mrs. Weaver will then assess, and we will give you those assessments and have conferences as needed. Any questions on that? I'll get to more preschool information as we go through. So all 5 days. At home, you have a responsibility, and this is the big one from the health department. You as parents need to do a health assessment. I understand that this is challenging, and I can tell you that I personally have my morning cough that I have to adjust to. I know it's normal. But as you can see, if your student has a temperature, and that's now not the #1 indicator, it is, do they have congestion? Do they have a runny nose? Do they have a cough? Do they have shortness of breath? Are they having chills, muscle pain, fatigue, headache, sore throat, new loss of taste or smell, nausea, vomiting, or diarrhea? I wouldn't be here if cough was but you know your child, do a self-assessment. Is this a normal or is this a not normal? That's what we need you to do. Does that make sense? From there, if it is not normal, keep your child home, please. Even if it's probably a cold, probably it is, perhaps they are succumbed to strep throat, you keep them home. The Henry County Health Department is requiring that. We will send your child home because the teachers will become familiar with the symptoms and signs of each individual child, and if it's something new, they will send them to the office and you will be called. Everything is being treated as COVID-19. That's the world we live in right now. What I want to reassure you is there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Let's just get through this. If you keep your student home, please inform the school office. They will either call you, and you know they're very good at it, Mrs. Kuhlman, Mrs. Schwiebert, and we will have a new secretary because Mrs. Badenhop is retiring. They will hound you to make sure they know why your children are not in school. We're going to begin drop-off at 7:40, and the reason for this is we want to take temperatures. And this is for students in kindergarten through 8th grade. They can arrive anywhere between 7:40 and 8:15. They must come in with a clean cloth mask. It's a requirement. This is what I was told to do, a clean cloth mask. Now, some of your teachers may ask you to send 2 so that if during the day the one that they are wearing becomes, can I use the word disgusting?
They have another one, and then they will come home to you to provide 2 or the 1. Temperatures will be taken at the automobile. Now, right now, I have enough temperature gauges that at the automobiles, myself and someone else, we're just going to go to clear you before the child even gets out of the car in case it got missed at home. We have had students that have been okay at home, then they get to school, they come in, and they have a temperature of 101. Wouldn't you agree, Mrs. Coleman? She's back there. So, with that being said, we're going to try to assess from the car so that you don't have to be called to come back. They will come through the building. Now, we are working on getting the automatic temperature scanners that they just have to walk through. We're trying to get 2 of those. We're in the works for that. So if you would sign up for a chicken dinner for Sunday, that will help us. We have the 1, we need 2. That will help greatly. They will come in, they will not congregate in the cafeteria anymore because there are no congregate areas. With that, I want to say to you, to those parents that walk your child in, I love you, I love greeting you, I love seeing your smiling faces, but we have been told that the child has to be dropped off outside and come in to minimize the number of people in our building. It's for contact tracing. Again, this is not going to be forever. We just need to do it now. Any questions so far? Go back for me real quick. Did I end all those? Oh, here we go. Students free of a temperature will go directly to the classroom, and then we've got poly spots that will be on the floor just to give visual reminders that students should try to stay in that 6 feet distancing. I believe that this is why the Henry County Health Department is encouraging the face masks, because we know that kids don't like to stay apart from one another, and this will just, again, help with exposure. Thank you. Next slide. Students who are bused, do I have any bussers? Okay, so if your student is bused, when they come in, they're going to have to hand sanitize on the way in because they've been in a bus that we don't know what they've touched. They're going to have to hand sanitize. They will go directly to the classroom. They will retake temperature. All students will then go, when they're there and they've cleared the teacher taking a temperature, they will go and wash their hands, and then they will go to their seated desk. And each desk will have a face shield, hand sanitizer, and tissues. Their own little pod. Now this is for K-8. Preschool is different. Preschool parents, the child does not have to wear a mask. However, Mrs. Weaver and Mrs. Ripke will be taking their temperatures as they're coming in. You will have to give them to them. Then they will come in, and Mrs. Pierce will then take them back in a holding area. Now, preschool parents, there are going to be 2 classrooms. Mrs. Weaver will be teaching both of those classrooms and going in between. There will be 3 assistants for the P3s and the P4s to assist in the cleaning of the supplies and the things that they are interacting with. We are going one step ahead of anything to ensure the safety of your children. For TK, right now, the numbers are low enough that we only need 1 classroom. If we get more, we will split those into 2 classrooms. That's what we want to do to keep your children safe. So the numbers at maximum in a classroom for preschool will be 12. We know that they have the hardest time with social distancing, right, Mrs. Weaver? Where are you? And they get more colds and things like that, so. At the desk will be a face shield, hand sanitizer, and tissues, as I said. Once you're cleared, the student must continue. This was not my favorite thing that the health department told me I needed to put into place, but it was a requirement. They have to either wear a face shield or the face mask while they're at their seat. The face shields do look like what I have put up there. It goes over the face. I wore it through a meeting with my teachers. Girls in middle school, not going to like it because it's going to ruin their hair. They may choose to wear the cloth mask, but it's giving protection. Those face shields are going to be free to every student and every staff member, so you don't need to worry about that. They will not leave the building. They will be sanitized every day. And when the students come in, all they need to do is come in with a clean cloth face mask. Any questions about that so far? All right. Go back real quick, please, and thank you. Each classroom has desks 6 feet apart, or there is a plexiglass barrier. So I told the teachers, get rid of every fluffy item in your classroom. Now, is that ideal? No, we all know that. It's not ideal. But do we want our kids in school 5 days a week? You betcha. So desks are separated chair to chair by 6 feet apart. If they are not, there will be a plexiglass barrier between them. That's going to be in the classroom. Staff and students in transition must always wear, again, another health department requirement, a cloth face mask. When they go to lunch, they have to wear it down there. They take it off, they eat, they put it back on. Classes are going to rotate. We're trying to space it out. Classes are going to rotate. Those in kindergarten through 8th grade, an A, a B, and a C week. And you can see there that the 10:50 lunch for an A week, kindergarten and 1st grade are going to be in the in the cafeteria so that we can seat them apart enough. 2nd grade will either eat in their classroom or they will eat outside. It's been encouraged to do outdoor, either classrooms or eating. So that particular table did not print on the notes. So I can send you my slides, but I thought it was just a little much for you to go through for tonight. And again, B week, kindergarten and 2nd grade, C week, 1st and 2nd. So 2 weeks you're in the cafeteria, 1 week you're in the classroom, so that there is that social interaction. And again, they may choose to eat outside. We will have recess. We will have all the recesses that they had before. We are going to rotate into 3 different areas. I'm trying to create what I call COVID pods so that all the little 2nd graders, they're in their 2nd grade family. That's who they're with. So 2nd grade may go to the playground the 1st recess. Then they may have to go to the blacktop for the 2nd recess. Then they may have to go to the kickball field for the 3rd recess, and so on and so forth. So we're going to rotate them around. Again, it is not ideal. We know that. It is to keep safe and ensure the people that they love are safe. The students will sanitize upon entering the building because we have hand sanitizer dispensers throughout the building. So even the students, and I forgot to mention that get out of the car, when they come in, hand sanitize, hand sanitize, hand sanitize. We've all heard this. What is it? Masks, distancing, wash your hands. Masks are not required when they're at play. They're not required. Any questions so far? Okay, let's go on. Now, this is for mostly middle school, but even 4th and 5th grade where there's movement between teachers of Miss Harms teaches science, Mr. Montgomery will teach math. They will move to the classroom. All subjects are going to be taught in their homeroom class. So that's why if you went to our Smile wish list, we asked for some carts because we are going to have portable stations. Mrs. Barnes, Mrs. Meisner, Mr. Meisner, everything will be taught in that one classroom area. So the teacher is moving to minimize contacts. And students will have their little office areas. Teachers will hand sanitize when they enter a different classroom so that they know that they are not bringing a contaminant into the classroom. I feel like I'm talking in an emergency room. These are the precautions we want to take. We want to keep your kiddos here. I keep saying, I just want to drive it home. We so want your kids here. And we do not want, if we can be a leader in our community, we did it. All right, next slide. Dismissal. All right, again, cloth masks have to go back on. So they'll mask up. Teachers will line them up, and we have a staggered start. I do want to say that those students in 2nd through 8th grade, every single night you're going to take your Chromebook home. It will fit nicely inside your child's book bag. Please just make sure that you examine it for damage and make sure that it is, it's a responsibility. It is owned by St. Paul. But the reason is it's going to be on the next slide, which I know you guys are aware of what we're going to put into place. We will have a small bank of chargers in each classroom, but the initial charger that will come home with you the very first day needs to stay home. That way you can charge it at night. Our staggered dismissal, as you see here, preschool, that afternoon slot, just the TK will be dismissing at 2:55. Then kindergarten and 1st grade will be at 3 o'clock. 2nd and 3rd at 3:05. Our bussers will dismiss at 3:05, 4 and 5 at 3:10, and then athletes and middle school will dismiss at 3:15. We're trying to minimize the congregation in the narthex. If you want to grab your child as you have before, so that you don't have to get into the dismissal line, you must stay outside of the narthex area. We will give them to you if we see them, if we see you, but you cannot come inside. I know that seems very, very authoritative. We're minimizing the visitors within our building, and that is by Henry County Health Department requirements. Siblings will leave with their youngest sibling. So the family that I like to refer to, can I use you, Mrs. Huddle? She's got 4 kids, and they are from kindergarten this next year to 8th grade. So kindergarten is going to dismiss at 3 o'clock. So guess what? Her 8th grader, her 5th grader, and her 2nd grader will dismiss with the kindergarten student. You don't have to worry about that. That's the teacher's job to scramble all that in their brains. But that helps you to not have to worry about, I've got 3 dismissal lines I'm going to get through. No, those siblings are going to go with the youngest sibling, unless they're an athlete. So 5th through 8th grade, if you are an athlete, then you just go with athletes. And then you follow the youngest sibling. Any questions about that? We do want to offer art club, and we do want to offer chimes or bells. You will get information as that is developed over the course of the next few weeks. They will also, if they sign up for art club, chimes, or bells, they will also dismiss at 3:15 to go directly to that location. Any questions about that? All right. So many questions came to me through Fast Direct regarding our hot temperatures in the classroom. I've been wearing this for the last few days, and I recognize the challenge that it poses. There's a lot of getting used to this, a lot. It can be stressful. It can be difficult. We also know that our classrooms can get hot during the months of September and maybe even into October. So what we are going to do on hot temperature days is have virtual learning. I know that's like a scary, scary thing to say, right? We don't want to go back to where we were, and goodness, we recognize that too. But we want to give the students a break from the hot temperatures. So if it is going to be 90-degree temperature, real feel, or higher, we will call a temperature day. So if you have, it should have been in the handout, if you have that at DEKH94 for your Remind app, that will sign you up for my Remind app to let you know if we're having a hot temperature day. I will also do it through Fast Direct. The two ways. I will inform the bus garage if you have bussers. That will be my job. Preschool will still have their classes. So if you have a preschool kiddo on those hot temperature days, and Mrs. Weaver will create a comfortable environment for them. And if you decide it's too hot for them, that will be a parental decision. Okay? Crusader Care will still be offered on those hot weather days. Hot lunch will still be offered on those hot weather days. So if you were worried about Crusader Care, it will be here throughout our school year. I will look at the weather app, so if you want to download the weather app, and I'm going to do the very, very best I can to look at that and say, it looks like it's going to be really hot Monday and Tuesday. Sunday night, I will send it out. We all know that the weather changes. Wasn't it supposed to be really hot last week and it was really nice? On some of those days, it didn't get too hot. But again, we want to keep the stress level of our kiddos as low as we can, considering the mask mandate that is in place. Virtual learning days, we will give you that sent out to you ahead of time so that you know what subjects are going to be taught and at what time. And your individual teachers may also, if you are in kindergarten through 5th grade, give you some insight as to, yeah, if it's a hot weather day on a Monday, we're going to do math. If it's a hot weather day on Tuesday, we'll do language, arts, and religion, or something along those lines. We're going to focus only on the core subjects that we feel are most important to continue the learning process. Religion, because that's who we are. That's who we are. We could not drop that from that. Now, can that be a language arts lesson? Absolutely. It can be a part of that, but religion will be infused in that. Religion, language arts, math, and science. Again, social studies will also be infused in there through either a religion lesson or in conjunction. So Mr. Bauer teaches math, but he's a 7th grade homeroom teacher, so he may choose to do math and social studies during his Zoom schedule. It all depends upon how many hot weather days we have and how much in sequential order. If I have to call 3 days of hot temperatures, we may adjust what we're teaching, but we won't adjust the schedule. Do I have any questions on that? Mr. Mazel.
Are those days counted as calamity days?
If we do a virtual learning, it's not considered calamity. Now, with that being said, and I'm glad you brought that up for me, we are supposed to go to the Ohio All Professional Workers Conference for the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod in October. I'm going to send out a new calendar. We are not going to go. I'm not going to immediately say those days are going to be school days. I want to see how many hot weather days we have. If we still have them off, the teachers will be in professional development, still here. But I'm going to allow them to be hot weather days where we come into school because we had 5 in a row or we had 10 in a row, you know. Does that make sense? Because I don't want to take away our calamity days. We already have snow and fog and all of those. Any questions about that? So you will get, just one second, Monica, you will get a new school calendar, okay? The other thing to consider on that school calendar is we are probably not going to have Grandparents' Day. It is in November. Love the grandparents. Love them, love them. We'll do something virtual, but they are the most at risk, and we do not want to play that game with them. We know that the kids aren't the ones that are at risk for the most part. We know it's the most vulnerable. So take a deep breath. If we can't do it in November, guess what, kiddos? If it's all lifted, we'll do it in April. So we'll change how we do things. All right, Monica, go ahead.
So you said that if there are the virtual hot weather days, the teachers will contact us with like times and things like that. If our kids are utilizing Crusader Care on those hot weather days, will they be doing their Zoom stuff during Crusader Care?
Yes, that's a great question. We will work with them to make sure that those students are engaged on their Chromebooks. That's why the Chromebooks are going home, or they have access to a device so that they can engage in that virtual learning. Yep.
So my kids are under grade 2, so will they still have access to do that work at Crusader Care or not?
Yes. Yes. Any other questions? All right, next slide for me, please. Now, there are going to be days when we get it wrong. When it's going to be hot and the kids are here, we're not going to call you and say, guess what, come and pick your kids up. It's really hot and it's 1 o'clock. No, we've got another plan. We've got different spaces in our facility that are cooled. So we will put 2 classes in the Trinity Center, 1 in the library, 1 in our conference room A, 2 in the youth center, which is out here, the cafeteria 2 spaces, and the sanctuary, we'll put them in 2 spaces so that they can cool off. Teachers can still work with them so that they are not overwhelmed with their mask. The other thing that I do want to say is that teachers in their schedule will align mask breaks. When I'm in my office, I don't wear my mask the entire time, but I'm 100 feet or so from most people. But when someone comes in, I put my mask on, but I get a mask break. I can take it off, and the teachers will say, okay, it's time. Time for a mask break. Everybody take your mask off or pull your shield up. That was given to me by the Henry County Health Department. We don't know what this virus does, and we're all struggling with it, and we're trying to abide by the guidelines. So your child is not going to be in a mask from 7:40 to 3:15, or if they are in a sport and they have to mask up in between, spiking sessions, we want to give them those mask breaks. Next slide, please. If a student becomes ill or exhibiting the other symptoms, so if a child goes in and they are vomiting, which is normal, we would call you to send them home. But if they have a cough that is consistent and long-standing, they will come into the office. We have a separate room that we're going to have them seated in so that they can be supervised. You will be called to bring them home. I can assure you that the Ohio Department of Education, working in conjunction with the Ohio Department of Health, if your child has been called, if you've been called so that your child has to go home, a number of days absent have got to be, they've got to be generous with that. Because they are saying, we want to protect people from this virus. So do the very best. Well, you'll have to pick them up. That's all I have to say. You must come and pick them up for those. And we apologize for that. We often know a cough can come, but if it's something that's abnormal and the teacher feels is abnormal, they have to send them to the office for that. They will be supervised, as I said, until pickup. They must be symptom-free for 24 hours. So if they had a fever when they left at 3:10, they have to stay home the next day and be fever-free or symptom-free without fever or pain-reducing medication. So no acetaminophen, no Motrin. They have to be free of that for 24 hours, and then they can come back to school. Originally, it was 72, so 24 is a pretty good number. Please, as a parent, contact your child's doctor. Have that conversation with them. They've got to know that when schools open up, that you're going to be calling. They're going to get calls about this. And see if your child or the family needs to be tested. If a positive test is confirmed, all family members must quarantine following the directions of the Henry County Health Department. If you call us and say, I'm going in to take my child for a test, we will contact the Henry County Health Department as well. They will tell us what to do with the other students or faculty that that child is a part of. So we will rely on the Henry County Health Department to tell us how to go about our business. Yes, Tiffany.
So I can tell you right now, both my children have seasonal allergies. How are we handling that? Because if my child, my sixth grader or my kindergartner gets sent to the office and then I have to come pick them up just because they have a cough, but then I send them to school the next day because I know it's allergies.
And I would say to you, Tiffany, I completely understand the teacher. So when you have your tell the teacher more, you have that conversation with them. And the teacher will need to then, the best ability that they can, determine if this is out of the ordinary. Because like I said, I said to the person I was talking to on Friday, I said, I have a cough. I have to cough it up every morning. It's normal for me. But if every time I have a cough, I have to stay home and wait for the symptoms, it would be forever, because it doesn't go away in 24 hours. It's right back because I go to sleep. It's a part of it. It's that normal thing. So teachers, I recommend, or teachers, parents, I recommend that you inform your teachers of those typical things that your student has, your child has, for them to be aware of. And if they feel it is out of the ordinary, then it will be sent. Okay, so it's those new, out of the ordinary type of physical symptoms. Does that help, Tiffany?
I just don't want to have to keep my kids home and you call me every single day and I have to come pick up my kids.
You know what?
It's allergies, you know, even if it's the dead of winter.
And they said to me, if the teacher knows they're a coughing, snotty, allergy kiddo, they will know it, and we will work with that from there. I think the teachers, and I think Mrs. Coleman, Mrs. Schwiebert, are very good at knowing this is out of the ordinary for them. This is out of the ordinary, so this isn't jiving right. But I recommend that you as parents, if there are little idiosyncrasies to your child that you know about, inform them of that. Mr. Mazel.
What if the parent is exposed at their place of work?
If the parent is exposed at their place of work, please let us know. Good question. And then we will contact the health department and ask us what we need to do. Do we need to have the entire family quarantine? And if they may tell you, you need to keep your whole family home until we know if you've tested positive. The bottom line to all of this is that we don't want to shut the school down. We don't want to shut a classroom down. We want to do the best we can with that. Yes?
In the past, like with allergies, you know, and I don't know, with the not having visitors, but like they're mowing the lawn or the lawn counselor house, I have to bring in Benadryl. How's that going to come?
Mrs. Coleman, can you answer that if they need to bring in Benadryl? So if there are seasonal allergies and the parent needs to bring in a Benadryl or something like that, if they are administering it, is that going to be okay?
If a parent can administer that, that would be fine. We also have medical forms that we can give you that allows us to administer that. But what I would do first is one of us girls in the office would give you a call and check when the last time they had their allergy medicine. Find out, you know, do you think we should give them some of their Benadryl, and then we can administer that. So I'll have, I'll have some of those forms at registration for anybody who feels they want that medication, or even ibuprofen or Tylenol, or whatever you give your child in the office. It will be in a separate baggie with your child's name on it, with your instructions. And what I like to do is, when I administer that, I'd like to send you a fast direct and say, hey, at 10:15, Johnny was given an Advil. So yeah, we can definitely do that, or you are welcome to come in and administer that yourself.
And what you would just need to do is, if you know you need to give a Benadryl to your student, is to call the school office. It's not that we don't want you in the building. We don't want large amounts of people in the building. So if you need to come in to do some of that, call the office and say, I want to come in, is 8:15 okay? And I know that Mrs. Coleman would say, 8:15, no, I got lots of kiddos coming, or I got this and this. Could you come at 9? You know, and this way we are prepared for when you are coming in. Please know we have hand sanitizer that's going to be available. Wear a mask when you come in. If you can bring your own pens on registration, that's going to help us, because we have to sanitize in between. Again, I feel like I'm in an ER, or I'm working in the restaurant business where we're wiping down pens between touches. It's a lot. It's a lot. But we want your kids back, and we're willing to do it. That's the bottom line. We're willing to do it. I do know that, like, preschool, all of the students are going to have their own individual bag of supplies so that only that child is touching it. Never done that before. They always were able to share. Same thing with kindergarten. They're going to have seat pockets with all of their materials, and they move their seat wherever they need to be with their face mask on, and they have their materials. Why? Because we want them to be here. That's our goal. And I know it's a lot, but I think that you want them here as well. That you want them here as well. Because the bottom line is we want to share the gospel. Because we're about preparing them for this life and the next. And we can do that here. All right, next slide. Our precautions. So we began at the early part of the summer to put into place a state-of-the-art UV sanitation system. Number one, there are UV lights that are in every air handler, in the church area, in the school, all of the classrooms, out throughout the cafeteria and the gymnasium that sanitize the air as it is flowing through. Is it perfect? No, but it's a layer. It's a layer to help us. Second thing I think all of us need to know is that we get to open our classroom windows. That's awesome. Fresh air, circulating the air. We've got fans in every room. That keeps the virus from settling and being a part of our little COVID pod families. We have a mobile UV light. It's about 5 foot tall, and it will spread the UV light out. It sanitizes the sanctuary. It will be in each classroom at the end of the day to sanitize all of the surfaces. Their face shields, if they've worn their face shield, the teachers will tell them, set it up. It will sanitize the face shield so that when they come in at the very beginning of the next day, everything is ready to go. We did the 6 feet of separation. I know, being on my meetings with other Lutheran schools, that they don't have the luxury that we have. Our classrooms are a nice size, that we can get that 6 feet of separation. It's not desk to desk, it's chair to chair. And if we couldn't get it, we put a plexiglass barrier in between that to provide for that safety. Again, the face shields, we will be doing diligent hand washing and sanitizing. Mrs. Butler, how many times did Gracie have to wash her hands after her first practice or during her first practice?
Like at high school? Probably like never. But she plays outside, so
Oh, okay, so outside. Okay, oh, yeah, tennis you don't have to. Sorry, I thought she was doing volleyball. No, I talked to some of the kiddos that had started practice, that graduated, and they would do a drill, go and wash their hands. They'd do a drill, they'd go and wash their hands. So it's this hand sanitizing, washing hands to keep it off of their hands to put on their face if they're touching their face, eyes, and nose. We will be doing extra cleaning, as I said. The portable unit will go from classroom to classroom. We are also asking on our wish list, and we have some donations coming in that will help us to get UV light, sort of like microwaves or wands that we can place items underneath for the younger grades for manipulatives or toys that they play with so that they can be sanitized. We're minimizing the visitors that are in the building. Please call if you need to come in. But we need to recognize as a St. Paul community, this is the one thing that we need to recognize. We're not perfect. This is not a COVID bubble for everyone. We acknowledge that there is some inherent risk when students and employees occupy the facility. We understand that. So as a St. Paul community, we need to recognize that. We've put these layers in place. We want it to be safe. But it may slip into our building. But we want to keep everybody safe. We want to keep those most vulnerable safe. All right, last slide. Tell the Teacher More Zoom meeting sign up through PTC Fast will be fast directed by the end of this week. I will get that out to all of you. Those of you that are in the preschool and don't have your Fast Direct, don't hesitate to call the school office and get your sign up information so that you can get this to do the Tell the Teacher More. That information and others, I'm going to skip down, many forms are on our website under parent downloads for you to get it ahead of time. But if you could have your Tell the Teacher More questions answered and hand them in on Thursday, that will help for me to get them in the hands of the teacher so they can read through them and be prepared for that Zoom meeting. Now, if you told everything you need to your homeroom teacher that they need to know through that Tell the Teacher More questionnaire, you don't need to sign up. It's not mandatory, but if you need to tell them more about your child and you want it to be more private, you will get a chance to sign up for that. They will all be through a Zoom meeting platform. And again, if you can bring your own pen, if you've forgotten, we will have some just as a courtesy. This information is subject to change. I feel like based on the recommendations or requirements issued by the CDC, Ohio Department of Health, and/or the Henry County Health Department. It changes every other day. I will keep you as informed as I can. I ask that you pray for the teachers who work fast on their feet. They've been the most flexible. When I told them I'm like, get rid of all that stuff in your room and just let the kids come in, they didn't like it, but they did it. When I said you're going to move from class to class and you're going to be on a cart, why? Because they want to teach your kids. They want them to be here. It's not forever, and that's the best news. It's not forever. All right, so I will take any additional questions that you have. This is the end of my presentation. Mr. Badenhop.
Since we're trying to prevent kids from congregating, are we going to have chapel on Wednesdays?
That's a good question. Chapel. We will not have chapel families at this time. Chapel families is one of the most beloved things that we have. But again, we're trying to create COVID families. So yes, we will have chapel in here. It will be grade by grade and they will be spaced out, but that will be in here. And again, there will be hand sanitizing on the way in, hand sanitizing on the way out. The mobile unit will then re-sanitize the sanctuary. And it will be live streamed for all of you as well. Did that answer your question?
It did. Thank you.
Okay, good.
This is a question for preschool through 8th. So for your child's birthday, will you be able to bring something in or celebrate? Or also for the holidays, will they be having any class parties?
At this time, class parties will be considered. It's not recommended at this point. Let's see how it goes. What I said to the teachers, and I'll get back to your next question, is when you are putting a classroom together as a teacher, you start out with very strict guidelines and procedures. Why? Because it's easier to start out a little bit stricter than it is to go loosey-goosey and then, oh my goodness, we got to rein them in. So we're putting all these layers in place with the hopes that as this develops and we see what the impact of opening schools is, then we can say, oh, guess what? We can have the parents walk the children in. It's okay. We can have a class party. It's okay. Does that help? Again, it's changing every day. For your next question, yes, you can send in a birthday snack, but it has to be something that was prepackaged. No home-cooked items at this time. Again, until we see how this goes. Does that answer your question? Okay. Miranda, did you have a question?
Is this gonna change like with the red, like what our county's in right now? Will that change?
Right now, it is not. I think our county is at a red because of, this is my political opinion. I believe that the areas that they are basing it on are a little too tight. And I get it. You know, they want to prevent us from becoming a Florida or a New York City. We had one blip. We've been very good. We went to masking. But I don't see any hesitancy with Napoleon area, Patrick Henry, Holgate, any of those schools in opening up. Mayor Mazel, do you have anything that you feel would be different? Is this a year that you're going to be? Yeah. So it's based on the parameters that somebody put together, and we hit those, and now we're red. But I don't believe in Henry County that perhaps we will see that happen again. I can tell you that I work with principals in the Lutheran system all over the state of Ohio, and you've got Cuyahoga County, and you've got, is it Franklin County? And they're big cities, and they've got lots of interactions and lots of molecules moving about. They are struggling way more than we are. I think we could do this. I do. I thought from the beginning that we could do this. And I think Napoleon also feels that, that they can do it. Henry County is a broad enough county, and I think we're smart people. I think we're smart people. So, one behind you, Mr. Gherkin.
This is specifically for like a first-time preschool attender. So I'm not familiar with the arrival dismissal anyways, but can you briefly just say again, so as a first-time like preschool, 3-year-old, we can't at all walk them in they're going to take them from the car kind of thing?
At this time, that is the process.
Okay.
If Mrs. Weaver and I have a discussion and want to address that or do that differently, we will inform you of that.
Okay.
I understand that. I really do. And it's not something that in my heart I want to do. It's been the recommendation and guidance.
Okay. So they may, because a child, it may be difficult for a 3-year-old. I have no idea how my son will.
I would like to share with you that as a St. Paul community, what we would do is we would handle that independent. When I was at St. Paul's in Glen Burnie, Maryland, none of the parents were able to none of the parents were able to walk their kiddos in. They had to drop them off in the car line. It was very difficult. And we knew those kiddos that were struggling, and we made adjustments accordingly. So we're not going to be, please know, we're not going to be hard fast. If a student is having trouble separating, we want to work with that. But we also want to put some procedures and policies in place for those that, I can get out of the car, and we can minimize the visitors in our building. Is that, okay. Mrs. Weaver?
Just to ease your mind, I've been on Zoom meetings with directors all over Ohio, and they've been running with their pandemic license. And they said that it's amazing how well the kids have done getting out of the cars. It's actually easier than when the parents walk in. So just let that.
Okay. It's always encouraged, and that was what Governor DeWine, hopefully I'm not predicting anything. Hold our hats here. Governor DeWine was on his press conference today, and the recommendation is if it's older than 2 years old, they recommend them. If you as a parent have been working with them and getting them comfortable with that, absolutely. There's no mask shaming at all, but we also know that it's more challenging for other students at that younger age. So it's not mandated, it's recommended, strongly recommended. Is that helpful?
If students are home for a hot day, are we going to have sports in the evening or practices? What are we doing?
I'm having a hard time. Can you just move your mask for just a second? Yeah.
If we're if we're home for the day for hot weather, are we having sports in the afternoon, practices and games?
The answer to that is probably yes, but we have canceled for volleyball in particular for some hot weather days ahead, even before this, because it was just too hot in the gymnasium. So we will keep you informed with regards to that. I know it's transportation then of getting kids here, so it may be that it's not mandatory, but we will have a practice if you can get your child here during a hot weather day. Mrs. Spieth, Denny, yes? Okay.
Is the plan for consider care staying, is consider care still going to be available in the mornings or just after school?
In the mornings and in the afternoon. Yep.
So they get temperature check before they go in?
Yes. Mrs. Grant will give you that information on how she's operating, but basically you buzz, they'll come up, they'll take the child's temperature, and they'll bring them down. Yep. And they're going to get 2 different rooms. They're going to get what used to be our computer lab, because that's becoming a mobile unit for our kindergarten and first graders. So there will be no students from the elementary grades going down there. And so they'll have 2 rooms to space the children out as well.
And then is technology going to be 1-for-1 K through 8?
Well, it's 1-to-1 right now for 2nd through 8th grade. Kindergarten and first grade will share the laptops. They will be sterilized in between, and that's where their technology will come into play. We're going to work on 1-to-1 for all of that. I know Mrs. Bauer has put in a request for iPads for all of the kindergartners, so that's a stretch goal. Any other questions? Please don't hesitate to send me a fast direct. If you think of something and it wasn't answered tonight, fast direct to me. I will answer you. I welcome your input and I welcome your support, as does the board and the staff, because the bottom line is we want to have your kids here. We want to teach them. We want to be in relationship with them. But before I say goodbye, I want to introduce to you our 2est members of the staff. One of them has only been here for 24 hours. Drum roll, please. Miss Rebecca Renegarby, our new first grade teacher. And he's been here about 2 weeks. Mr. Benjamin Montgomery, our 5th grade teacher. We are excited because they're energetic, I'm even going to put myself in there. They're young, they have new ideas, and I know for myself, I can get into a rut, and they have new ideas, and I love that. And our faculty is really ready to go. They've been very enthusiastic over the summer. We're going to be doing a lot of professional development to get ready for all of this. So we can do it. So let's close with a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for all of the families who have chosen Christian education for their children, and they have asked St. Paul Lutheran School to provide that and to partner with us. You reign, Lord. Above all, you reign. We asked that you infuse this place with your peace and your love and your wisdom and your guidance, and for all of us the strength to get through this as we are navigating reopening. And Lord, we know that you can eradicate this completely. But until then, Lord, we will do your will and we will walk in partnership with you. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. Have a really great evening, everybody. Stay 6 feet apart. No hugs, no high fives.